Oh, my girl. My girl. I gotta find you, Ash. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Here she is. Where'd she go? Ash, don't do this shit where I can't see you. Where are you? There you are. Hi. Hi.
Hello.
Yay. Let me check and see what it looks like. Oh God, it's doing that stupid fucking rotation thing. Hold on. I'm just gonna leave it in gallery view. Hopefully it doesn't do this stupid rotation shit. It's gotta do it. You know how it goes. It's just definitely it's just what happens with us. Anyway, so I am gonna look on my Facebook or my Substack one. I can't look at both, obviously. Instagram is frozen. Substack is not frozen, but I can't see what it looks like. I just know that it's doing that rotating shit. Oh, I know what. I got it. All right, multi-speaker. Oh, there we go. Hi. Hi, my pretty friend. Um,
Hello.
my pretty historian nerd friend, just like me. Um, so I was just kind of doing a less unhinged, like bawling my eyes out, version of this. Because last night I was definitely like, as you were at Metallica, like sending me like photos of you and G, and just like that you were just screaming like no kings after you came out of the Metallica. I was like, you know what? Fucking perfect way to end this shit day than be at like and I haven't mind you, I haven't liked Metallica. I haven't listened to Metallica in years. Years, except because I stopped listening to them after the Black album. That's the last time I listened to anything from Metallica. Because once, quite honestly, once they cut all their hair off, I was like, nah, fuck that. Plus, their music just sucked afterwards. Anyway, um, no, yesterday was just I had a lot of just like really just bad emotions, and they were hard emotions to explain. And I wasn't talking to people on the phone. I wasn't texting. I mean, you had texted me, and I was like, okay. And then Karin texted me, and then like some, I was just like, no, I'm avoiding everybody because I right now have nothing to say other than I'm fucking crushed. And even the fight with my parents that I had this morning, be damned. I am still at my core a believer in like this is a free country, free speech. Like all of that. So why the fuck are you like assassinating senators? Why are we like doing all of these things? Because history, and you know the same hit, and it was really funny because you kind of did like a low key troll with one of your photos that you posted on Facebook. I was like, I know what that means. Um, it was, I think it was on Facebook or Instagram, but it was a picture of the World War II memorial like plaque or something like that.
No,
I
yeah.
can't I can't remember, but you posted it about the same time last weekend or this sometime this week. You
I'm going
definitely posted it.
to grab
And I was like, "Oh, okay." So you and I,
Oh, that was the Holocaust Museum.
yeah, the Holocaust Museum. So you and I both know, like, so we're both like geeks and nerds in history. And like you and I both talk about this, but we are everybody out there is just kind of like, "Oh, we're just gonna ignore it and hope it goes away." And meanwhile, we're over here like, oh yeah, history nerd here definitely studied the fuck shit that happened in Germany in World War One and Two, and how the Nationalist Party was used to basically, you know, a certain small man with a giant ego and Napoleon complex got mad
But you
because
also can't ignore what Stalin did when he rose to power. He killed more people than even
yeah,
Hitler.
there were definitely, but the thing that the duality of it though is that literally on Friday they were having, they were he Trump was like he or I'm sorry, I'm going to say the Oompa Loompa was actively saying to the American people that Putin had called him and wished him happy birthday. I'm like, you fucking piece of shit. And then it was like the day in the same day, like Pete Hegseth and all these idiots, like they were, or maybe it was on Thursday, I don't know, but a series of events happened, and like literally the Republican Party at one point with Pete Hegseth got so frustrated. Lindsey Graham out of nowhere grew a fucking backbone. It's like the ghost of John McCain came up his ass again and was like, "Yo, nah, not right, not today, Satan." And like Lindsey Graham was sitting there like, okay, I'm really actively trying to help you right now, okay? Like just listen to me. You're not actively saying that we are, I mean, who's the aggressor? Who's the bad guy? Just make it simple. And Pete Hegseth kept saying, he's like, no, okay, I it's really easy. Who's the bad guy? And I digress, like Lindsey Graham's like Russia. The answer is Russia. And then like another Republican senator who happens to be an attorney, he literally was like, okay, look, I'm gonna try to help you out because like it's not going so well for you right now. Well, so let me just put this out there for you. Who was the is your testimony today? Are you stating who was the aggressor in this current situation? Russia or Ukraine? And Pete Hegseth was just like floundering around and wouldn't say the hard R word, I guess. And then another one said the same thing. They're like, you're not actively up here testifying. Please say you're not actively up here testifying that we, as the United States or at the Pentagon, have active plans to take Greenland at all by all means necessary. You're not, that's not what you're testifying, right? And that fucker literally was like, well, I would think that the country would like to know that we've got plans for everything. I'm going. And so the whole Republican Party was like, you fucking asshole. And they were going after him. And then they just had like that sanctuary city panel. I think it was, yeah, on Friday. So Waltz, all of them were up there and they were grilling them. I was like, the fuck's wrong with you people? And you could hear these are historically speaking very conservative Democrats. They're not like far left Democrats, but they are very pro, just like they're centrist essentially. And they were just like, one of them actually said, he's like, what is wrong with you? He's like, what is wrong with this? He's like, what? We've been asking for immigration reform for 19 years. And none of us are happy with the situation. We all understand there has to be something, but you guys just bail every time we get there. And then they went in sideways on Tim Walz, only for Tim Walz yesterday morning to get online. And first thing I saw when I woke up, I was like, oh fuck. And it quickly spawned from that little bitty moment of, okay, well, we don't know what's going on with them yet, to we turned the TV on in our house. And I'm letting you know what we did. We turned the TV on in our house and we watched news on our TV for the first time in like years because we don't expose our kids to the news. It's just not healthy for them or me. But we turned it on and
news since I was pregnant.
Right? So upon turning the news on, within like I would say like 10 minutes, we were watching and they cut away to the press conference, and that's when Tim Walz was like, it went from being like an update on the status of their condition to a sitting house rep in Minnesota have been shot, as had her husband and her dog, by somebody impersonating a cop.
I didn't know shot the dog.
Yeah, shot the dog. If you like, again, if you're willing to shoot a dog, you're willing to shoot the humans. But that when that came out of his mouth yesterday, my heart shattered. And I already got in a fight with my parents about this, so they're probably downstairs. Or actually, they whatever. They took their Sunday ride, and I'm sitting there hoping for one fucking shred of humanity out of my mom and my dad, right? This morning, and my mom's like, well, that's what I mean. He was a far left. I'm like, get Fox News off your fucking phone right now. Like, this was at breakfast this morning, Ash. I was like, no, ma'am. It's like, Mom, I already did that work for you. I've already got copious amounts of actual data that you're likely not going to see from Fox News or whatever shit you're watching that rots your brain. Like, you're sitting here almost low key condoning the fact that a woman and her husband lost their life because this fucker actively planned and had a manifesto about who he was going after, like everybody, and then he had those flyers in his truck, mom, not because he supported it but because he was going to blend in with the fucking crowd, just as he had blended in as a cop and shot these people. So I'm getting all this out of me now because I'm gonna let you do your history bag too. But like, there was a specific night there referenced during World War II, I think, where the Nationalist Party, known as the Nazis, they were going door to door and impersonating cops, and that was the night that they were shooting people that had actively defied that little man with the Napoleon complex, and who didn't like it when people didn't agree with him, who pushed back and said "fuck you." So yeah, it was like identical. It was almost like it was like Mein Kampf. It was like that fucker like woke up and read the book. It was like, okay, cool. This is what I'm gonna go do. And I'm like, holy shit! How many times have we told you? I mean, because you and I now have known each other since both administrations, right? And we have both said the same fucking thing the entire time. But you and I tried our best to be very quiet, and we tried not to say anything online, and we tried not to ruffle feathers because God forbid we have a fucking like original thought in our head, or we're critical thinkers or whatever. And we tried to respect our family members. We've tried to respect like our friends' point of views, but at the same time, you and I were both slowly dying on the inside because inherently we both knew, we're like, yeah, no, like history, Stalin, the Hitler guy, like all of this has been done before. And if you can't remember the most basic shit that you took, like this was mandatory back in our day, right? Like, so I'm really fucking confused with a lot of people out here acting like this shit wasn't out there, like red flags weren't out there. And I was like I said yesterday, my heart broke, and it was because I'm such a fucking empath. I just felt I don't know. I immediately just absorbed the pain of absolutely just millions of people who are waking up to like, what the fuck just happened? And Trump didn't say a fucking word. He bragged about Putin calling him on his fucking birthday. JD Vance was like, yeah, this is a great view. I'm like, fuck you, I was all over Twitter. I was like, I don't give a fuck. And like, as I said last night, Karen was she was on list. I don't give a fuck about literacy right now. I don't give a fuck about any of the bullshit that people hyper focus on in our world. You and I are not them. We are us, and we are history, everything. And it's like, hi, there, if a pattern or a series of things happen in the same order that they've happened in the past, that tells us what? Like, these are the fucking red flags. We told you about this. I've been yelling 1984 at the top of my lungs for fucking ever, for years now. And the irony that they don't make kids read 1984 in school anymore, or Fahrenheit 451, or any of the things that actively taught us, or at least our generation.
That our kids aren't taught to read.
Well, yeah, there's that too. Yeah, they would have to actually, teach them. But they don't even. That's not even mandatory anymore, and that explains a lot. But it's also robbing generations of things that you and I inherently knew, but also you and I took it to a different level. Like we act. I mean, look at your fucking map behind. Look at all those maps behind you. Like, these are timelines of all of the things. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I'm gonna go fucking order.
Two on the table.
Yeah, I'm gonna order those fucking maps. But it's it, I just have, like I said, my heart was broken yesterday because I'm just such a fucking empath. And my 85-year-old aunt had been over here Friday night.
And let's not forget this too.
Teaching for critical thinking. Can we shove that down a lot of people? Can I have that? I'm going to give it to my mom. Even though my mom is like a literal fucking genius, I'm gonna give it to her. Just
I'll send you a version.
yeah, I need it, and I'm just gonna because my aunt, the 85-year-old dyslexic aunt of mine, who has been portrayed in my family as a pain in the ass, she always yelled. I'm like, yeah, she's fucking dyslexic. She had a gifted teacher as a mom and a scholar as a dad who was repeatedly trying to shove shit into her brain. And yeah, she was combative. But my aunt even said, you're never going to change your mom. And we don't know what happened to her, but that's why we don't come over here anymore because we can't. Because your parents' brains have been rotted out by Fox News. I was like, yeah, what part of we were raised by extremely vocal Southern women who actively taught us to learn to stand on your own two fucking feet and not listen to the other shit, but do your research. Like, that's where I was yesterday. I was just sitting there, like, I immediately went into, I'm putting my headphones on. So I did. I put my noise canceling headphones on. I immediately turned on, like, this playlist of just fuck you music. And it was just like, it took me back to the days when I grew up with a scene of kids that didn't have anybody. We couldn't lean in on our parents. We couldn't lean in on anybody because our parents didn't agree, because we stood our ground and we had morals and we said, no, we don't hate. Bottom line, not fucking simple. So, yeah, we were covered in tattoos. We listened to like music that was nothing but angst and rage because we were so fucking mad that we had never known a life without war or a recession or any of the other horrid shit. And so on social media, like none of us were talking, but we were all definitely doing the same thing. We were playing the same song. And it was like after the eulogy, and it's just this anthem that we adopted years ago that was, where's your anger? Where's your fucking rage? And like, and then within that same song, tear it down. That's where I come. That's where the burn it down comes for me. It is from that growing up in that scene, because that's what we want. We just want nothing more to burn it down and rebuild it appropriately. And it's, as I said last night, like my activism wasn't just for literacy. My activism was for far more than that. And with that being said, to all the fucking idiots who don't want to listen to history or read or, oh, I don't know, just go fucking watch History Channel, which we remember when we renamed the History Channel to the Hitler Channel because all they fucking did was play things about Hitler. Like,
I don't remember that
oh
actually.
yeah, it was at one point it was actively named the Hitler Channel because that's all they played. That's all we saw. And again, the loss of life, and then the audacity of people to go, well, they voted for Walls. I don't care. Shows he voted for Trump twice. Oh, well, his wife worked for. I don't give a fuck. I'm not a registered anything. I'll vote however the fuck I want to vote based off policy. That shit does not matter. But that's just me. I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna let you tell what. How did you feel upon hearing all of this yesterday? Because you got the privilege of going to see Metallica to get it out of your fucking system, which I would have loved to do. Just didn't get to.
Um, I saw, I just like everybody else, I woke up to it and just immediately thought, why do we live? Why are we in this place where people think that this level of violence is okay? Why are we in a place where people can't handle somebody disagreeing with them? Why are we in a place where people can't handle somebody having a different opinion or a different belief system or leading their life in a way that's different from theirs? Why are people so afraid of that? And then you get Trump on a hot mic saying he wants people to stand up and listen to him just like the people of North Korea do to Kim Jong Un.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he has an abysmal approval rating
Oh, I know. God.
Nobody stands behind what he's doing for immigration. Nobody stands behind what he's doing with the tariffs.
Not even
He's,
enough party. Like they're over here like, nah, homie, no.
it's he's accepting bribes from countries that are hiding terrorists.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that part too.
Why, I can't even
No, I
talk
mean,
about
but you
it.
can't
I
because
mean,
I know how much it, I know how you process, right? Like I
yeah.
know how it may, it's like it's not, you're almost there, right? Like you're almost willing to just be really loud and say fuck you to everybody. Like you're right on it, but you haven't done it yet. And that's a lot of respect to your parents and a lot of respect to your I know that. I get that. I understand that part. Um, but I'm also low key laughing at the low key trolling that you do. You don't even say anything, you just post that. I'm like we don't have to talk. Like it's like people inherently know that those of us who have been very fucking vocal, we don't even have to talk. All we have to do is put some symbolism like that out there and we all fucking know what it means. It, it's
And
just hard.
what kills me though is like the cognitive dissonance.
Oh my God. Yes.
Like every member of my family that is a massive Fox News watcher and thinks that Trump just hung the moon. These are not stupid people. These are profoundly intelligent people who don't agree that anti Semitism is on the rise, who don't agree that, the violence that we're seeing is a creation of the propaganda, who think that people like you and I who are afraid of raising our children in this current time in this country, that you and I are lunatics. That, I mean, it's this weird. I mean, like I told my parents, I went, I've updated all of our passports. And they went, why? And I went, so we can get the hell out of the
Get the fuck
country.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I want to leave. Fuck off. Like let me just go somewhere and chill until you know.
If everything goes south, I mean, because I have a 16-year-old son, if everything goes south, I don't want him brought into an army for a belief system that we don't support.
Yeah.
You know, um, what was I know it was here in Texas, but I think it was placed in other states too. And I'm pretty sure it didn't pass in Texas. I actually need to look, but I'm like 95% sure that they were going, or maybe it did pass. You could tell me, you would know. Um, that they were going to rewrite the mandate for the draft,
Oh yeah, I heard yeah, that.
and that if you were in a school that took public funds, and I'm sitting here going, that's one reason never to put my child back in public education, which is a position of incredible privilege.
Yes. Again, yeah, well we've spoke on that numerous times. I mean, if anybody is under the impression that you and I don't know that that's a fucking privilege, like please go back and watch the copious amounts of like things that we have said repeatedly. That we know, we get it, but we did it out of desperation and we did it because nothing else fucking worked. And here,
But we did it too because we knew that our sons deserved better,
yes, and they
and
need,
that nobody was going to give that to them if we didn't.
and that's why I tagged you on that post about Josh. I was like, hey, Josh was actually super happy that Ashley and I got this weird, crazy ass idea to turn or to make some kind of like virtual school for our kids. He was fully on board with that. He's fully on board with just saying fuck this and fuck the status quo. These remediation schools aren't even built for our
I've had
kids.
numerous conversations with Josh about how to start a school.
Yeah.
or even like my big idea for a couple of years in a row, you'll remember, was to do like a pop-up summer writing camp.
Which
And
oddly enough,
really supportive
Sherry
of all of
Sherry Lucas Hall is doing that right now. She's doing her
it.
pop-up writing clinic and it's free. Like, come on, come to my garage every Saturday and we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing how little good instruction our children need, but it has to be the right instruction, the good instruction. But, you know, what happens after 40, 40 plus years, because we're at what, 45 years of dismantling public education
Mm-hmm.
and putting it in the hands of thought leaders who, don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, like Lucy and Gay and Sue. And, you know,
Are they really in play anymore though? Really, think about are they like are Gay and Sue still really in play anymore? Because like we just know that they use their attorneys and like the whole lawsuit got kicked out because of course it's gonna get kicked out. You can't prove academic harm when you're propping it up on the basis of just this.
well, Lucy did a press release
Yeah, she did a press release.
sometime in the last 8 weeks talking about how her units of study has been updated for the science of reading, gag, because it's not.
Yeah.
But you have college professors who are still teaching incoming, the future teachers of America, that
Hmm.
Mari Clay just absolutely hung the moon. And, this bullshit love of reading, if we just inspire love of reading, then kids, I can go on for days about it, right? But my point is, after decades of disassembling education and stop teaching people how to read and people how to think and people how to have a critical mind, and you turn it into standardized testing from hell where it's just regurgitation and how to pass a test, and that's all that people care about because apparently that's the best way to
That's the
measure
only
it.
thing. Yeah, that's the bar. All right.
It's you've released into the world this clusterfuck of people who believe propaganda because they don't have the knowledge to be able to question.
See that it's like
Yeah, and when you don't teach people how to read, they believe the hot takes because all they can read are the headlines. They don't have the stamina to actually read the article and read that the headline was bullshit to get you to read the article, but because you didn't read the article, you believe the headline.
but that doesn't give them but, okay, hold on. But with that being said, the counter to that is when you have highly educated individuals who are boomers who lived through the shit, right?
Yeah.
And are actively out here trying to tell my kids or trying to tell me or trying to tell us that like, oh, by the way, blah blah. The
I know
fuck's wrong
that's
with
the
you?
cognitive dissonance that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't excuse it because they did know and they do know, and they're the ones that like put they raised the bar for you and I, right? Like our parents were like, no, you're gonna learn and you're gonna learn everything. You don't get the wash down version, you get everything. And you have to do it. It's not a you get the privilege of choosing, you have to do it. So it's just sucky because like I said, I don't want to cut you off, but I do want to know is like, or what I want to say is like, it's not okay. You can't dismiss it just because of the fucking horrible curriculum that was shoved down our throats via Democrats. Sorry, I have to say that. I always have to yell that when I that. Sorry if Andrew's in the house and you heard that. But that's where it came from. It didn't come from some magical fucking unicorn Republican. Everyone thinks it came from Bush. No, it didn't
No,
come from Bush.
but it's three Republican presidents who dismantled education and put standardized testing in place. Because first it was Nixon,
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't like the protest against the Vietnam War.
That's right.
And then it was significantly dismantled under Reagan. And then the second Bush past the whole, standardized testing culture of, teaching to a test in order to measure educational progress. And that was a death blow. That was a major death blow.
I guess, yeah. Well, so yeah, now you're making me think about that part because you're right. Yeah. It was,
So, I know that people talk about, Democrats and Republicans and all of this, but they're both culpable.
they both fucking suck at it.
Yeah. I mean, Clinton's done the, pipeline to prison. Um,
I'm such an
Republican,
asshole for putting you onto that, by the way, because you've probably gone down fucking rabbit holes like, wait, what? Hold on.
I know. But, and then Republicans like to say that they are all about education, but look at the two education secretaries that this moronic president has had.
At this point, Devos or the devil, whatever her fucking name is, you're gonna
She's
hate
better
me.
than McMahon, at least.
Yeah,
But
exactly. I'm
not
like,
much.
at least she read books and
She
things.
was involved in education
Yeah.
because she was all about charter schools and all of that jazz. But, I mean, just Jesus.
The
But
irony that we got mad though, think about this, the irony that you and I at our very core were mad at her. And we ended up doing the very fucking thing that people were mad at her about, right? That's how fucking bad it is. That's how bad we wanted our kids. I don't know. You and I both want our children to know history and the unfiltered version of history. We want and we demand that they like I said, your background is a fucking testament to that. Um and
not forget the table behind
yeah,
me,
I see you have a whole ass table over there. Yeah, I see that.
covered in history books and maps.
Because you're like, okay, Graham, we're in a really shitty time. Oh, I'm sorry, I said his name. We're sorry. It's like, gee, we're going through some really dumb stuff right now. But I'm going to make sure you understand how it started, why it started, and here's the entire history. And that first one right there of every major event that has taken place. The first, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. From the beginning of man through where we leave it off. 2000. So it doesn't have the last 25 years.
That doesn't even include 9/11.
No, I don't think it does.
You're like, let me squint and see.
No, because it stops at 2000.
And think about that. Or
I think he has a more modern time one, but I was, we're
this
only
is
in
the context.
Mesopotamia right now.
Yeah.
So
You're like, this one means a little bit more than that right now. But
for where we are. But we're walking through the Holocaust Museum. And our Holocaust Museum, and I'm going to have to go in a few minutes because my groceries are
of course
about
you are. I know mine got delivered earlier, but we already took care
Well,
of it.
it's Father's Day.
Well, yeah, my husband does the shopping, ironically.
And
But
we haven't had breakfast yet. So, um, but what was I saying?
I don't know.
Oh, we were doing the Holocaust Museum, and there's not a whole lot of exhibits, artifact pieces.
Mm-hmm.
There are some. There was this beautiful Torah scroll that survived Nazi Germany.
Yes.
It's hundreds of years old.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
It's actually on display here in Houston. There was a prisoner's uniform from a concentration camp. There were the Jewish stars that they had to wear. There were numerous things, but because it was a focus on Houston families who had survived the Holocaust. In other words, they had survived the Holocaust and then they immigrated to Houston and created their lives and their families here. It was this, but what it was a story.
Yeah.
And it was a maze. So, you follow this path and it's words and it's pictures.
Hmm.
And you read from his rise through the destruction. You're carried all the way through this space. You walk through a cattle car at one point because it's the only way to get from one side to the other.
Yeah.
And it's breathtaking. And Graham was overwhelmed. And we got to this one particular spot where it talks about, my dogs are seriously about to go bananas. It talks
All
about,
right, guys, you'll be okay.
uh, I'm going to mute when they go bananas, but it talks about this one particular incident, and I can't remember what country it was in, but it was one that I wasn't familiar with, where like 30 or 40,000 people were slaughtered in one day. They were all taken to this ravine and just shot. And there were pictures underneath the story of 7 children who died that day. And all I remember was Graham was reading it, and he just went, Jesus Christ, Mom. And I was like, I know. But what I loved was there were moments where there were signs that said, what can you do to keep this from happening again?
How do you prevent it? Oh, that's the whole thing. How do you prevent the past from repeating itself?
Exactly. So talk for a minute because my dog's
Okay, it's okay. I'm just saying, like, that is the level of, I guess that I think maybe that's another thing that you and I have a different standing on regarding how we have navigated the fuckery of our sons' lives. Is at no point did we ask anything to get watered down. At no point did we say it's okay to remove the standards from my child just because of the way he learns to read or the way he learns. You and I, if anything, we have bucked back and said, no, fuck you. Make sure they learn. Teach. Don't, if I catch you watering anything, if I catch you not assigning him, if I catch you giving him grades that he didn't earn, like, no, that's not okay. We recognize our kids can't read or that they were born with dyslexia, but that doesn't mean they're broken. They don't have the ability to learn. They know and they want to know. And that's the beauty of it is when we brought our children home, even though our kids were naturally curious, as it were, and when we brought our kids home, they were able to explore that side of their brain even more. And they loved it. That's how Makala opened their brains, was by historical knowledge building. Like, pick a category. What interests you? And she got that thing in their head to click. And like from then on, it's been like, okay, I enjoy learning. I enjoy school. I want to be and like my son, I can't like I'll be like, you want to play hooky? No. Why would I want to do that? I'm like, okay, so my son and your son as well, like, and it was a hard blow. It sucked for him because he wanted to be immersed in these things. He got his love of learning back, right? And a lot of it has to do with our unconventional everything, but it also has to do with like we're raising good humans and we're raising humans that will go forth and make sure that, well, at least in my case, I don't know about G, but in my case, my son is out here checking people left and right if they slip up and call somebody the wrong fucking pronoun. Like if you misgender or what, my son's gonna check you. He checks his grandparents. I'm and like I said, my son is somebody, and I know G would be the same way. Our kids, at least you and I know that if given the chance to have a debate with an adult, both of our sons not only would be able to likely dog walk the adult, but they would do it in a respectful way because we've taught them civil discourse. We have taught them it is okay that they don't vote the way you vote or think the way you think. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. That doesn't mean their voices, their opinions don't matter, right? But I low key want to see. I want to see the day when somebody has the nerve or has the balls to step up to my son and tries that because he's me, just like G is you. It's like, all right, come on, bet, let's do this. And it's because of how we were both like, okay, for you and me, or at least me, I always go back to that civics class that my school applied for, right? Two teachers applied for this class, and I was handpicked to, I literally was handpicked to debate attorneys, judges, lawyers, cops. We were able to engage in that level of discourse because I was like, well, just because you have suspicion doesn't give you the right to search my locker. Just because I look this way does not mean you have probable cause. Like that was fostered. And now, God forbid, kids actually say these things. And I think that at the crux of it is that's the reason yesterday was so fucking hard on me, was knowing that I didn't want to raise my kids in a world like this. I didn't, and a lot of me didn't want to have kids because who the fuck would want to bring kids into this world right now? Ever. Like, I mean, um, my son has known nothing but hateful rhetoric. He had like, I think, a couple years of Obama. Yeah, no, he had a lot of Obama, and then it rolled over into the dipshit in charge now. And he was traumatized. I mean, there's an infamous photo we still have, or drawing my son did of him, and it was really funny. And he was in second or third grade when he did it, and his teachers were like, I was like, sorry, I don't, I'm not going to punish him for that. But anyway, I'm so sorry to get off. I'm just, like I said,
No, but like the thing that gets looked over, sorry, the
no,
thing
you're
that
fine.
gets overlooked, and and I never thought about it in these terms until I read this particular book. But the social engineering that is education. And you have to draw a distinction between schooling and education. And especially if you send your kids to public school, which, again, not being able to send your child to the public school is a place of enormous privilege.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to be aware that when we send our children to public school, and most of the private schools in this
Oh, yes,
country,
definitely private schools.
you are engaging in social engineering of what is it acceptable to look like? Who is it acceptable to be friends with? Everybody wants to be in the cool crowd. That is social engineering at its utmost. And the further you are on the fringe from the cool crowd, the more that those crowds are pushing out the fringe. They don't want to be friends with those people. Those people aren't. Those people aren't meant for school. Those people are going to have a hard life. They're just not going to do well. They're not marriageable material. They're not worth dating. They're not worth being friends
Uh,
with. They're not,
that's just making
you
me
know.
gag. Just you saying that it makes me gag and piss me
I
off.
know, and I'm saying it in a way trying to make you gag too.
Thanks. I appreciate it because now I want to cuss and just like say all those things about that, but whatever.
I know, but that's, and I never thought about it that way, but that's exactly what schooling is.
It's programming.
If, if you can get away from schooling and get to a place of education where people are genuinely learning, and at this point, I don't think that that's possible in the public education system.
I don't believe I believe you on that one because that's exactly um that I guess it speaks to why um I refuse to um, I refuse to do
So
it. But
this is
I'm gonna leave you this for you to jump off. This is what I did yesterday. I'm gonna show you what I did yesterday. Let's see, like that and that. Hold on, I gotta make sure. I'm gonna hit share real quick. Oh, cancel. Photos, documents, advanced. I'm gonna hit this documents or screens. There. Okay. Here. Oh wait. It's giving me an asshole message. I don't know why. Imagine that. I once workplaces. Just want to share this fucking picture. Just share the goddamn picture. Well, of course it won't let me do it now, but it was what I the art that I did yesterday, and it,
On social media.
huh?
I saw it on social media.
You saw it, and so it's just here. Finally, I have it working. Thank you, Jesus. Fuck. There, that right there.
It's not showing yet. There you go. Yeah.
Like that is at my core. That's like that's immediately that's where my brain went yesterday. Immediately, I put
Yeah.
headphones on, and you see the imagery.
Mm-hmm.
See what it's drawn on top of.
Yeah.
That was from my father's yearbook. So when you're in the military basic training, you get a year, or you used to get a yearbook. And this comes straight out of his yearbook when he was in basic training, and he could have been deployed for Vietnam at any moment. And that's what all of this is. And
Yeah.
the imagery itself is why I used that photo, because historically speaking, whenever I do art, it's always political. It's always got an underlying political message. Um, and it was cathartic, and I'm gonna do more of it. But that's another thing is like last part, and I promise I don't want us to stop having this is what we need to do. I figured it out, Ash. And we both need to go celebrate our husbands because God knows they fucking put up with all of our antics and all of our bullshit. Um, you know, my husband did the laundry yesterday because that's fucking normal. You know,
Same.
right? It's a we are at least blessed with husbands that support us, and they're like, you're crazy as shit, but then they're like, okay, you know what, go do you. You're right, I'm sorry, you're right, go do you. You know that they get on board. Every now and then we have to say something. Be like, have you lost your fucking mind? Shut up, go sit down. Shh, time out. You know, but I kind of want to wrap up with this. Like, I don't feel like yesterday it was appropriate. Like, I was on Twitter and I was watching all these fucking idiots talk about literacy. And I'm like, oh my God, you fucking assholes. If this is the only thing that you can process right now, if your brain is that fucking focused on something that we've known how to fix for 80 fucking years, and you can't delineate between how we got here, why we are here, and why we won't get out of it because from the fucking literacy world. The irony, right? Everybody was like bitching and moaning about literacy. I'm going, yo, what about the fucking comprehension skills? What about critical thinking? What about analytical thinking? What about knowledge building? What about the rest of it? Fuck your phonics, fuck morphology, fuck all of that, because literally that can be taught, right? But what are you guys doing with your kids after they learn to read? That's my ask. What are you doing once your child learns to read? Once your child is happy with it? Once your child is comfortable? What are you doing to make sure they are good humans and they go out into the world with knowledge and the ability to have civil fucking discourse?
But the problem is, people think that public school is still doing that.
They're not.
I want to give you a very specific example of how it's not.
God, you and your fucking books, I swear to God.
This is a history textbook from the state of New York. This is a history textbook that stupid fucking teacher that you and I hired asked us to buy for our kids, right?
And I didn't die. Yes, go ahead. I just had to put that in there for a second. So sorry.
In 1,050 pages. 1,050 pages. It goes from the beginning of man through culture blending in a golden age, which is 1960 to present. Having gone through this, just to be clear,
I was waiting for that part. Let me hear that part. I know where you're about to go, but like I just want to hear what you're about to say. Just
ancient Greece is 23 pages.
That's it.
That's it.
What the?
Ancient Rome is
You about to make me mad. Sorry.
30 pages.
Do they have the Mayans in there at least? Is the Mayan, is that in there?
Um, Early river civilizations, people
Yeah,
on the move,
they
first
would
age
be.
empires, Greece, Rome, India, African civilizations.
So we're just gonna skip
America
the
is a
part.
separate world, so yeah, a little bit, but
So we're just gonna skip the part
that's
where
20
like the
pages.
people that yeah. So we're the people that like which the irony, the funniest thing I saw yesterday was their Native American women got pulled over by ICE agents and they said, "Are you American?" And like when you go after a Native American woman, just from historically speaking, they're gonna clap at you, and they literally looked at that ICE agent. They go, "We're firstborn. What are you?"
So
Right?
early Mesoamerican cultures, 2 pages. The civilization in the Andes, 2 pages.
I can't. This is
That's
making
it.
me mad.
So I love that my husband called this the Cliff Notes
Yeah,
of
that's Cliff
history.
Notes. Yeah, because I
But
studied.
then I want to talk about like the beginning of chapter 2 was Mesopotamia, and that was
Ah,
1, 2, 3, 4,
how many
5.
pages
That
have
was
we got?
6 pages.
Ah,
So you're talking about Syria, Assyria, the two empires of Babylon, actually the two empires of Assyria, and
mhm,
Sumerian states
mhm.
in 6 pages.
In
You get
six
to
pages?
pyramids, six
Okay.
pages. You get to pyramids on the Nile. So Egypt is going to be a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Egypt's going to be 9 pages. But
I
I
can't.
say that it's 9 pages, but only about 50% of each page is covered in text. The rest of it is pictures, and mind you, this is a teacher's edition
It's
as
a
well.
fucking picture book? It's a picture?
Pretty much. So let's talk about pyramids on the Nile. So
Like you're gonna give me a fucking heart attack right now, is what I think you're gonna do. Because
for struggling readers, let's focus on guided reading. Let's focus on building vocabulary, reteaching activity, a skill builder practice, and a geography application. So the text, which is already Cliff Notes,
mm-hmm,
in the guide, and I'm just reading on one page, right? In the guide across the bottom of every single one of these pages for
mm-hmm.
struggling readers waters it down even further. And then
Oh,
God
you're going
forbid,
in. You're really going in. Like you're going
and
in.
then God forbid if I talk about our English learners, they get even less.
Yes.
And gifted and talented students get more because there's, supplemental material that you can download with this.
Let's like hold on. Let's put that in context. So the gifted kids aren't even getting a fraction of.
No. But what they're getting is they got something to read about the Sphinx of Amenhotep and the tomb of Tutankhamun. That's it. That's what the gifted and talented students get on top of the
Do you want to
existing.
see? I really want to shoot you the syllabus for what they do at my son's school because like they have no fucking chill. There is no fucking chill. They learned about.
Shoot it to me. I
He
mean,
he can tell you every single event from the civil rights era, like how it started, how it ended. Like he can tell you how long it took to segregate or desegregate areas in Georgia and what like so the
but
irony.
let's call out a primary difference of your son has had a lot more history than my son because I'm in the state of Texas and the only history he's ever been given is the history of the state of Texas because we don't teach history until you get to high school.
That's so fucked.
So my son has none
And you're
of
having
the,
to teach
of the
all of it,
foundational history.
all of it.
So
Yeah.
I have to do all of it.
So okay, so here's the example. So here it is. One more time for all the people that think we are teacher shaming or bashing in some way. We were tasked with fighting a whole system to teach our children to read just because, God forbid, their brains don't learn like everybody else. And then we are tasked with making sure that, okay, well, we've accomplished this. We've got the dysgraphia in check. Oh, fuck, you don't know anything about history outside of your state. And so then we are tasked with teaching our children with the knowledge building campaigns out there. All right. So if we're going to have knowledge building campaigns in this fucking space, all right, let's talk about it.
Right.
Are you going to this level? Are you making sure your child or the children or the parents and the teachers you're peddling this shit to, are you telling them how important it is to build the knowledge skills like based off of, and I can't state it enough, G and Sawyer both were able to finally unlock their brains to put it on paper because Makala gave them historical references and said, pick which one you like. Right?
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, good. You shouldn't. Let me see. And make sure you have. Yeah, it's got you as sharing. You can share.
Do I share allow to share window or allow to share screen?
You can share screen, share window. I don't care. It's your computer, not mine. So just keep that in mind. It'll just be out for everybody to see. Okay, there we go. Ashley. Oh, look at that.
So this is
this is what you built.
This is what I have built.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. No. I don't know that I'm seeing this. Hold on. I have to see because what you're showing me is something that people actually need to see. Because you, again, being the super mom that you are, you know. Oh, yeah, well, you can see it. Okay, go ahead. Keep talking.
So this is just, so his chapter 1 was like 12 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, no, that's not going to work. So I went back to the beginning of the earth. I explained the origins of life. I brought in Lucy, Cro-Magnon man out of Africa,
Mm-hmm.
the Great Migration. There's documentaries galore, that he has to watch. And then that's just part 1. Then you have to go to part 2.
Actually, you're building a school within your own house. Like, it's like you built curriculum and.
Yeah. Controversy, because I'm not going to skip around it.
Right?
Even as a Christian, a conversation regarding evolution versus creation, because I believe that the earth is 4.6 billion years old.
Oh, you're stepping on some toes with that conversation. Don't do that. Fuck.
And then here's the Bible's creation story. Historical timeline. Where are we? So he has a very clear idea of where we are. After cave paintings, the Mesolithic era and the Neolithic Revolution, and there's a massive amount of information in here. He has probably 100 hours worth of documentaries that he has to watch just to get through chapter 1. Fun facts, because he challenged me with giving him fun facts for, at least one fun fact for every chapter. I went, well, that's easy. So how dogs eventually became our best friends and how we domesticated cats twice. The rise of civilization. With, again, more documentaries. Let's discuss why we study history. This is
Is that an assignment?
No. The invention of writing. He's lucky I don't have him reading The Written World by Martin Pynchon.
Yeah.
I can't say the man's name. The invention of money.
Oh my God, man, you savage.
Mark time with BC and AD and what that means. And then we go to the Neolithic period, to the Copper Age, to the Bronze Age. And some things are layered. You have to kind of go back and forth. And then where are we again? Our approach. So this is me talking to him. Chronology starting with Mesopotamia, and I have the biblical timeline in here. We're going to talk about both woven
You know
together.
what? Actually, can you send me that one? Just because, like, I mean, my son's like he's now decided he's not an atheist. He's agnostic like his mom. But I just wanted to at least show him that part because I'm a big believer that if you're gonna pull the agnostic or atheist card, like you gotta still know your shit and you gotta still understand the who, what, when, where, why of
There's a
why.
YouTube channel I'll send you that I found that's
Oh,
amazing.
okay, cool. I
But
will.
then here's, the beginning of Mesopotamia. So the Sumerian city states, the Sumerian kings, Gilgamesh, the first Babylonian empire, the time between the Babylonian and Assyrian empires, the Assyrian empire, and then the Neo Babylonian empire. This is an enormous amount of stuff. Then we talk about the art of ancient Mesopotamia. And
I
then we
mean,
go back
like,
to Genesis. And
oh,
then we talk about timekeeping because,
that yes, that needs to yes, yes.
huge. Because if you look, Methuselah is considered the oldest living person in history at 969 years old.
I'm looking at this on
So
my
I
iPad.
wanted to talk about timekeeping because timekeeping was an inaccurate thing, right? So nobody lived to 969 years old.
I love that you
But
have
it's a way to shorten the history timeline within the Bible by having
yes.
people have
Okay, that
these
makes
great
sense.
lifespans.
That makes sense.
And
I mean,
then,
you even reference Shel Silver. I saw the Silverstein leg reference you've got in there.
yeah, because we do the flood story and we talk about Noah, and so I
Did you
remember
wait?
that
Okay,
song.
hold on. Wait,
That,
wait, wait, wait. Hold on. Before you do that, I have to ask this. Are you going to, is G going to learn about the absolutely fucking depressing everything of an author that you and I both love? Like the fate or like just like the depression that said author dealt with.
Shel Silverstein.
Yeah.
I actually don't know anything about Shel Silverstein as a person, but
Ash. Ash.
what I
No, you are the
what I
book
pulled
nerd.
in here
You're supposed to know.
is, well, I'll learn. But what I pulled in here was his unicorn poem, which is a song that he wrote that the unicorns didn't make it onto the ark, which is why we don't have unicorns.
Aw,
You never heard that?
no, that's so sweet and cute.
Yeah. So, he gets a little comic relief, the unicorn by Shel Silver.
But I mean, look at this though. The thing is, I'm looking at go down to your logic, rhetoric, and critical thinking thing over here that you've got on the left
I
side.
haven't built that out yet because I
Ah,
have
shit.
textbooks.
That's
But
like
yeah, but let's talk about.
psychological. Yeah, it's like yeah.
So here's English, right?
Honors English. Yeah.
Section 1, Adventure, The Odyssey and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Section 2, Allegory and Dystopia, Lord of the Flies, 1984.
Oh shit.
Animal Farm, Fahrenheit 451.
Wait, you better have 1984. Yep, there it is. Okay, I see it. Sorry.
Section 3, Judgment, Scarlet Letter. Section 4, The Casualty
Like
of War.
I like
All quiet
the
front.
dystopian reference.
What?
That's I like your dystopian reference in there. So sorry, I can go back.
Yeah. Section 5, Anti Semitism. This is where he is right now.
Oh. And so
Uh,
that was a perfect timing for you guys to go see what was in Houston.
right, which is why we went.
Yeah.
We're also going to do a virtual tour of Auschwitz.
Oh, send me that link. I want to.
And I want him to read current events. Then we're going to go on to poetry. Most of these poems, if you see the asterisk, that means it's banned. Then we're going to go to the Misfits, the Outsiders, and Catcher in the Rye. Which, by the way, teachers in the state of Texas can be arrested and fined for signing Catcher in the Rye.
So I see Andrea or Amanda Gorman. You've got that.
Yep.
Which is, by the way, my son has read those. He did that this year. He actually.
Then we're going to do the obligatory Shakespeare.
Oh God, why? Ew, no, ew. I won't even like inflict that on my worst enemy. I'm sorry, that's just not my bag. I mean, yeah, look.
I had to take an entire semester of Shakespeare in
Okay,
college.
so that's you though, because you went for that degree. All right, you went to college and actively went for that degree. Whereas me, I got assigned Tale of Two Cities. I was like, fuck you, I'm not reading this shit. And I read, I did my essay or my thing that year on Bukowski on hot water music.
But then let's move on to racism. The
Oh,
Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Frankenstein, and the Hate You Give. This is the I Had a Dream speech. Here's the transcript of the speech. Here's a history, a brief history, but it's some history of the civil rights movement. And then what is critical race theory and why is it under attack?
I like
And
that you have
here's
the writing assignment attached to it.
oh, there's a writing assignment attached to every piece.
Yeah.
But you know, let's talk about anti-Semitism first. Which what I don't like about Google Classroom is sometimes it deletes the returns and then
Yeah.
it puts paragraphs together, so that irritates me. But
But
you've read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, The Book Thief, and The Diary of Anne Frank. All four of
oh
these
yes.
highlights the extremes the Nazis went to in order to eradicate the Jewish people. Hatred of the Jewish people is called anti-Semitism, which is on the rise once again at levels not seen since World War II. The violence happening to
But
Jewish people
Oh
in our
shoot.
current,
it's not something that I want it to be.
So sorry, I didn't mean to do that. My
in our current society is terrifying. Write an argumentative essay on what we need to have learned from these books you've now read and explain why you think some people have failed to learn that lesson.
well, you and I both.
Versus racism.
What the fuck was that? What are your dogs doing?
My husband's making bacon.
And it's that loud? What are you doing, Andrew? Jesus.
It was our write about racism and all of its ugliness. Why does racism exist? How is racism still being allowed in 21st century America? How clearly my grammar messed up. How opposite, or I don't even remember what I was trying to say. The idea of racism is still alive, and note that it is a trick question, so I need to fix my grammar. How do these books, written in different places in different times, speak to racism, and why are these books important in shedding light on racism? And then we're going to go on to Inner Peace, The Old Man and the Sea, The Alchemist, and the Prophet.
Again, like,
Oh, and then I forgot. I think I'm going to drop this to the next year. Then he gets short stories.
oh, short stories. Those were I hated those things. I absolutely hated those things. I'm not gonna like, but I want to like with that. I want to show this though, because this is something that people need to understand too. Is that this? Hold on, let me get back to my window wherever I'm at. Whenever you're done sharing, are you done? Okay, let me show you this. So this is what my daughter is out here doing on her own, right? So I'm gonna show just this real quick. My daughter's out here learning cursive. She's teaching herself like she's doing cursive. Do you see
Yeah.
it? Did it come up?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she was given this by her teacher, or by the so I think it was her teacher in kindergarten, and she just took it upon herself to start doing it. And that being said, okay, there's a difference in both of our children's education, our boys, right? My daughter willingly went looking for that book and began to practice her handwriting. Did he give you a look? Oh, I love him though. Okay, he can have you back. But thank you for jumping on. But I just want to say kudos to you because, like, whatever the thing that you and I are doing appropriately about this time in our life, our child's lives, and stuff like that. Andrew, I'm giving her back to you. Hold on. At least we have raised the bar,
Yeah.
right? At least you and I know our kids are gonna succeed in whatever the fuck they want to succeed in, and it's not
Their turn.
exactly. It's on their terms. It's on.
Oh, but I wanted.
They told us what they wanted their education to look like. All you and I did was just that.
Yeah.
And now our kids are doing everything that we were told they weren't going to be able to do. And I'll let you leave, but I'm going to say, like, you and I still want to do this school. It's a really weird thing. I don't know how to make it work. But I just want to do it because there's so many kids out there that are like G and Sawyer who are thirsty for history and the real everything. And these kids historically go to these private remediation schools and they're not taught these things. If anything, it's watered down. And that's what I was checking Josh on low key in my, I love your article, but at the same time, y'all stay out here watering shit down. So that's the thing about the remediation schools that they don't do it. And that's why I love McCall, and I'm so sorry I'm gonna say that because you're gonna get mad again. I love it because they actively have like Georgia Tech math professors teaching math. They've got these like crazy professors that are working with our kids, and it's not even a remediation school because McCalla, you and I both, she hates the word remediation. She's like, that implies that they're broken. They're not broken. But she has actively created a community where a neurotypical kid could go to that school and get everything that they aren't afforded at the fancy private schools. Right? So that's why this unicorn theory needs to play out because you just fucking showed everybody hey, guess what moms can do? We can also do education and use our OCD skills for good. And I would never actually have the tenacity or the ability to do that. But go and enjoy your day with your husband and Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to Andrew if he hears me. I'm so sorry that I saw you.
To Josh.
Josh is downstairs, probably likely wanting to kill me because I've been up here and I didn't mean to be up here this long. Oopsie. So love you, have fun, and I'll end this on my end too. But I'm just whatever. I'm just in it with saying that, like, thank you for getting on. But this is why Ash and I, there are so many ways that Ash and I are tied together. And it's not just literacy, it's because we have a different standard for our children. And there's nothing wrong with that. But have a good day, everybody, and have fun.
Love you too.
All right. I love you. And I'm going to end the stream. All right. Bye. I'm going to hit. Oh, wait. Shoot. Didn't end. I don't know what I did. Hold on. That's okay. I'm fine with that. But I feel low-key feel like, I don't know, feel like I've gotten exposed for something that I shouldn't. Anyway, yes, I'll just wrap it up with saying yesterday sucked. Yesterday fucking sucked. I'm still mad today, but not as mad as I was. I mean, no, I'm still mad. I'm mad because there's so much good in the world. But this is something I want to show people too, though, is that, this is why I have historically always leaned into art and why I do art. Let's see here. I'm going to hit share. Okay. So yesterday, I went out to somebody who doesn't really get enough credit anymore, mainly because I don't know, people have like trivial bullshit reasons for not liking Shepard Farley anymore, and it's stupid as shit. I mean, like, this guy was in the same scene as me. Like, we actively, this is us at our core. We demonstrate everything through our art. This is how we go about telling people how we feel. We don't necessarily need to use words. We don't have to use anything fancy, really. We lean in on our art and we let our art talk for us. Which I don't see anything wrong with. I think what the irony, I think what more people need to do, if I'm being honest, is I don't even know what the hell these photos are right here. I was going to show you this batch of photos, but I don't really understand what these are. Yikes! I'm just going to take them all. I'm going to go. Yep, hide. I'm going to hide them real quick. Just because I kind of want to show you this real quick. Because this is what my son does. So I'm gonna try and pull this back up real quick. So my son, following in his parents' footsteps, as always. My son and his artwork. God, this kid's so fucking talented. Look at this. Look at the detail in this. And I'm actually working on a piece of art right now that incorporates that. And you see this, my son's signature. He's been mastering that. And then these are things that he did at school. He drew these of all of his teachers. And then this one right here, this is from Shepard Farley. And the reason that I don't know, I've been using this one for a long time as like an icon on my website or in my signature on my emails. I use this because this is me. This is me to my core. And it's, yeah, that's just that, like I said, that's me to my core. And it's because of the scene that I grew up in. Like I said yesterday, the scene I grew up in, we aren't nice. We don't care if we say what we want to say, but also, I'll show you these. This is also what I collect. I've got a whole house of books that are like this. So, I've got books. You want to see history? Here's your historical content and your knowledge building. Look at this shit. This is what they don't show kids anymore. Kids aren't shown this anymore. Kids don't see this anymore. You see this? You know where this was? This was in New York. This was Hitler's parade in New York. Oh, I'm sorry, Brussels Falls. And that was August of, I can't even see the date. It was the date is down here at the bottom somewhere. But yeah. I'm sorry, this is sideways, but this is not the shit that people want to prey on and they want to say that it's propaganda. They want to say that we haven't been warned. Well, then why the fuck do I have so many images and history books in my home with these images? This is what right there. This is that's why yesterday sucked so much. That fucking parade yesterday that the Oompa Loompa gave himself. We've seen those in our country before. We've seen that bullshit before. Happened in New York. They tried to spread the propaganda and the nationalist party into the United States. And I don't know, and I don't understand why. I mean, it's not even on me at this point. Fuck that. It's not on me. I'm not going to explain the shit. But I do want to, I find myself extremely curious as to why is it that somebody who has historically not done anything normal, not accomplished anything normal or in the normal ways, My son is wildly successful with everything he does because he took that upon himself. I didn't pressure him into that. That's my son, and that's he and I are the same. My son is the same as my husband, as me, as everybody in my family. My family is full of just chaos, and it's just a chaotic genius level mess, because in all of our chaos and all of the dysfunction and all of the isms that people are diagnosed with in my family, all of the military in my family on both my side and my husband's side, that's why yesterday was so fucking painful. I know that the people that were tasked with being in that fucking parade didn't want to be there. And I know that all of my friends who came back from being Navy SEALs, I have a friend who was on Presidential Guard for 2 presidents. He was a sniper. I've got plenty of sniper friends. Fuck, all of my Marine friends are snipers. I mean, my uncle, he was an Army Ranger so long, he actually has something named after him in Georgia now. I'm not going to give that name out because I don't want anybody to dox my family. I just want everyone to understand yesterday was a lesson, and yesterday was a hard lesson to learn. And it was a painful lesson to learn, but it was one that I knew was coming. It was one that we've been screaming from the top of our lungs was going to happen. If people didn't learn how to get along. What I noticed yesterday on Twitter, though, Elon did not suppress. He actively destroyed the pro Trump or the pro Oompa Loompa rhetoric. He actively just hit whatever fucking button he hit. And man, that's the first time I've seen social media wide fucking open with no guardrails and actually giving people freedom of speech in about 10 years. So because they broke up, the louder voices were finally heard. The dissenting voices were finally heard and finally seen. We weren't doxxed. We weren't attacked by bots. I purposely stayed on Twitter instead of going over to Blue Sky or Threads or whatever, because Threads is just as bad now. Meta fucking sucks. But yesterday, I did get to see at least a shift in an area that has been responsible for the rhetoric. Has given these fuckers a platform and has given them free free reign to rot our loved ones' brains out with bullshit. That's I'm actively having to fight in my own fucking house. And like I said last night, I love my parents. I love my parents. And all I wanted yesterday was a hug from my mom, my dad, or my mom. But I knew I couldn't do that. I tried to engage in that conversation this morning and it went really badly. So to everybody out there for who has been saying for years, it's not that bad. Calm down. Get out of your feelings. Stop watching the news. Get off your phone. Stop looking at social media. All those people. You know what my mom was doing as she was accosting me? My mom was looking at Fox News on her phone in front of me. And the irony is thick in that. She's the first one to tell us, or me specifically, Get off your phone. Well, Mom, hopefully you don't ever learn how to navigate this, meaning Substack. She's learned how to navigate threads. She actively trolls people on threads. And this isn't something I'm happy about saying, but I would be a hypocrite if I were to continue to enable that shit. I've been telling my son, don't engage, don't engage, don't engage. And I'm not going to let him engage. But as my mom's daughter, as my dad's daughter, as somebody at 15 years old who said, fuck this, I'm going to do this however the fuck I want to do this. I'm raising my children the same way. My children will actively be allowed to push boundaries. They will be encouraged to push boundaries. They will be encouraged to do everything that people don't want them to do. Because I'm not raising children to be compliant. I'm raising children to have a brain of their own. Because of the events yesterday, if we keep raising children the way we're raising them right now, the societal norms, all the bullshit trauma we brought from us from Gen X, we're inflicting that on our kids. The fuck is wrong with y'all? We were raised better than that. We were raised to have a mind of our own. Our generation was always known for their just being defiant as fuck, giving the middle finger to everybody. I don't recognize a lot of people in Gen X now. And I don't know what happened. Maybe they got rich at some point. Guarantee it won't fucking last. I guarantee the ones that voted for the Oompa Loompa, their kids are dragging them now. And I'm just going to put that out there for parents as well. If you as parents are actively putting this shit in your kid's head, or you're actively having these conversations where you're doing nothing but the one side isms, and you're having and letting your kids only see one side of everything, there's a certain place in hell for y'all. Because nothing's ever one-sided. Our kids need to see all sides of it.